They did have a plan for a second tower.
Could they move that forward like 4 years?
Yes, I second that.
They've got 2 months to do it.
So they're going to start construction in 2030, right?
No. They need to start construction 2018, and then it's just going to be done.
We can barely get them to upgrade their internet. I don't think they'll build another tower.
Ghost says he's good to go.
You can go ahead, Ghost.
No, he said we're okay to start.
Oh, okay.
We're rolling.
But what if we build a tower out of construction? Shipping containers.
That was last year's theme. We don't we're not ready to do Ready Player One as a theme yet.
Well, yeah, but at least it's an option for the future.
Well, that could be the theme for the virtual con that Levi's probably doing this year, right, Levi?
No virtual con. We're focusing 100% on this.
There's not enough time.
There is not enough time, nor willpower, nor
sanity.
Sanity, yes.
Yeah, I think we should do it again. I think we should, get it all together in like the next 2 weeks or so.
You tell Carlos that.
So Glitch is the virtual chair lead, right?
Wait a minute. No, I didn't say that. I said a little bit.
Wait, are we opening
It's
up?
all yours now.
Oh God.
We opening up a portal to VR chat? What's going on?
No, not this year, but that would be fun to do that again at some point.
Yeah, it would be. It's something to explore in the future. It also depends kind of just on various factors, such as people's willingness to volunteer to help out, platforms and how the platforms stand. But aside from that, it's a we'll see.
So, back to standard meeting format that we've used for a couple of years now. Go ahead and read the updates and reminders portion of the document on your own. If you have questions, feel free to ask. And then after people have an opportunity to read and ask questions, we'll jump into discussion. And the only discussion topic this month is the schedule, which is on the second page, because there's probably errors in there that need to be addressed or conflicts or something. And I want to try to get that straightened out this year before we go any further, so that everything else can be based off of this as a master schedule.
One quick note in regards to the volunteer desk this coming year. For both Thursday and Friday, we are opening up earlier, so that more people can kind of get the chance to be a gopher if they just happen to be open early or up early. Okay. Those people are foreign to me, but that they apparently have been advised they exist.
People who wake up before noon?
Yeah. I typically work nights and swings, so getting up before noon is very foreign to me. That's me.
Same.
But so for the first hour, for the volunteer desk, it will be open, but the Nevada room will be closed to attendees, just to generally staff and volunteers only. So right. That gives you guys the opportunity to come in, clock in for a shift if you need to do so, pick up your badge, things like that.
Okay, so we'll talk about that shortly when we get down to the schedule here. I'm trying to not get off track. We'll stick with any questions first regarding the updates that are listed further up. And while I wait for questions, I am going to have a cold, refreshing LaCroix.
Hi everyone, it's Daisy with social media. I ask from all staff members to send me a PM or get in touch with Stoic to let us know about important reminders that we need to be getting out and posted, because I saw on there about the art gallery, and honestly I didn't know that needed to be posted. So please let us know so we can get everything scheduled and out. Thank you.
My apologies on that. I should have let you know. We actually did have that up and running a couple weeks ago, but just forgot to mention, hey, we should tweet about that and stuff. I actually just sent a mass email earlier today to everyone who has participated in the art gallery for the last 2 years. So those people will have all gotten emails.
Awesome. And I know everyone's busy. I mean, everything's been rushed and it's hectic just with personal lives too, but I'm trying to be as organized as I can be, so when the con comes, I'm not like stressed trying to get pictures and posting and doing all of that stuff too.
Levi, do you have Daisy in touch with the photography lead yet?
No, but I will do that.
Material? That would probably be good.
Yeah.
Especially if Daisy, if you want to be posting pictures during the convention as well. Getting in touch with the current year photography lead would be a good choice.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even know that was a thing. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Other questions?
Kind of in a similar vein to that, since I'm doing I'm handling the BLFC website this year. Same type of thing. Any leads? If there are any pages or if there's any information on our website currently that is relevant to you that you would like to have changed, you can let me know in our Slack channel. There is a website specific channel for that on Slack, or you can DM me here on Discord or on Telegram if you have my handle for that. Really, I'm open to any means of communication. There we have a setup where you can look at last year's content and build off of that, where you can build something completely new. I'm just trying to make sure that all the website content that we have for this year is up to date and correct as possible. So any suggestions are welcome. I can work with people on whatever. So if anybody has anything they want to change or add or suggest, just let me know. And
I do.
Okay.
I added on Slack. I'm not sure exactly where on Slack, but the website I added documentation for the was the fashion show that the events is putting on.
I see. I see. Yeah, I just saw that now actually. As soon as you mentioned that, so I will take a look at that for you.
Yeah, you can just copy and paste if it all looks correct to you, and put that on the website. That'd be great.
Awesome. I'll do that. I'll take a look at it.
I see. Can you also do me a favor and put that in as a panel, using the same like form that's used for submitting panels? Just that way it gets on their list and they know that it needs to get scheduled.
Okay, it already has.
Okay. Okay, yeah, and maybe you've already done that.
Yeah, so that has been done. Additionally, I was thinking it would be also good to have the scavenger hunt on the actual pamphlet of the schedule, just so people know that it's happening and maybe even where to start the quest.
Okay.
This is something we kind of discussed starting today. Is there a specific form factor you like us to go through, either the panel setup or?
Well, that's not an event with a fixed time, right? That's
Right.
kind of a weekend long thing.
Yeah, it's a weekend long thing, generally between a few hours during the day, but yeah, each day.
If you have specific hours that you're planning on having like the scavenger hunt desk be open,
Yes.
then you could put those in as if they were panels and just put in the notes field the times in which you plan to have them active. And since it doesn't use a panel room, it doesn't really, like, whatever times you want to have it be active is fine as long as the room itself is open.
Okay, yeah, that's why I was
As long as the
unsure.
Nevada
Thank
room
you.
is open. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that would
that'll be
work.
fine. That'll at least get it captured so that it hopefully makes it on the schedule.
Right, that's what I was hoping. All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, the main thing I want to do is not have it get forgotten in the shuffle, and that'll at least draw attention to it.
Right, exactly.
Do we have a
kind of a goal date to have our program schedule published by?
I'd like to have it done by a month before the convention this time around, if possible, instead of like the typical 1 to 2 week mark. That way, all the departments can have a better, can have a little more time for for all their underlings and their leads to actually form schedules and not be scrambling at the last minute. And it might be that there will be some straggler events that get thrown onto the schedule after it's been assembled. But I'd like to try to assemble it to the best of our ability at the 1 month mark, or no later than the 1 month mark. And then yeah, if any other like panel things come in that want to happen, it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can still come in. You just got to find a hole in the schedule that the room isn't occupied. And yeah, we can put you in and still potentially add it to the schedule. I think it will actually physically go to print pretty close to the con. And then, of course, we can always update whatever is online, even the day of the con if we have to. But I want to try to have it as solidified as possible by the 1 month mark. And that's something I haven't really communicated to programming yet. I've been thinking about it the last few days and be like, yeah, I really want to get it done sooner this year. So if anybody from programming is in here, yeah, at the moment, I'm not really seeing anyone. So I'll reach out to them and let them know.
What's next?
Any other questions on the updates?
Sounds like no.
I guess not.
Yeah, it seemed all pretty straightforward.
They usually are. Oftentimes it's I have put something in the update and then somebody has a question about something else, or it reminds them of something else that I didn't put in the updates.
Stitch, did you want to talk about the radios?
I also kind of have one thing to add to the
update. Yeah.
Stitch, you go first.
Cool. So there is a form. I don't know if I don't have emails.
It's going out shortly.
Okay, cool. There's a form going out just to get a general gist of number of radios. We are switching radio systems this year to solve a bunch of the coverage issues that we are having with the current system. The new radios will be not something you can just add your personal radio to. So I need to know how many radios each department would need. Just send a number so I have a quantity to work off of. There'll be new radios that'll work pretty much everywhere in the convention center.
Who are we getting hotel radios?
Yeah, not hotel radios. We're looking at an outside vendor because the hotel itself cannot provide the number of radios we need by any stretch of the imagination with that I know of. So I'm just looking at an outside vendor right now. And then we can spend more time with the hotel figuring out what happens for the following years. But I need to know quantity because we need to know how many radios people need. Like, if you need 12, put 12. If you need 16, please put 16. Don't be like, oh no, I'll be conservative. But don't also be like, I need 16, so I'll put 20. That's also not a thing.
Yeah.
It also has the possibility of 3 headset types. If you want them, take them. Just, put down quantities. It's a really simple form. We're really just trying to get numbers right now. We'll sort out the rest of it later. we just need to get moving on that because we're slowly running out of time. The deadline that I've put on there, I believe, is the 8th.
April 8th.
April 8th. Yep, that is the date I have put. It is quick. It is short because I want to get moving on this. Partially because I have a convention right before this con, like literally days. So planning for 2 cons. I want to get this done as soon as possible.
Is that Baycon, I'm guessing?
Fanime, actually.
Oh, Fanime. That's right. Not Baycon.
What kind of radios are they?
They'll be Motorola's. I don't know exactly what radios we'll get until I talk to the vendor more about it. But there'll be some form of Motorola radio. I can guess, but I'm not going to say 100% till I know for sure. But yeah, they'll be Motorola. They'll be locked down because I know this vendor locks down the radios. Please don't attempt to hack the radios. I know I shouldn't have to say this, but I know enough of you would.
Oh, I'm 100%.
Let me just jump in there real quick. Just so we're clear that this is something that is owned by somebody else that we are not allowed to mess with. If anybody hacks the radios and we find out, there will be consequences up to and possibly including not being allowed to work for us. It is actually a serious issue, so please don't joke about it.
Yeah, that's not something to mess around with.
No, they're not cheap radios. They're not $40 radios. They are like $500+ radios. And even if the con takes no action, I will give you the most Jewish mother shame you have ever felt, and not in a way that will be fun.
Are people who have the same model radio that have not hacked the radios and have not put the repeater into their radios going to get shit for it, like at some other cons recently?
There is a possibility these are interconnected repeaters, so they may be monitoring them remotely. I don't want to push our luck, especially for the first year.
No, I mean, if you just have a radio, like my radio has the Kelsma frequencies and ham stuff in it, but it might be the same model that we rent. And I got shit from a couple of people at TFF for having the same model that they rented.
I will just not, for possessing it? That's even not trying to use it on the system?
I won't shame you, but I also recognize radios. They're pretty easy to tell the difference about. If someone's shaming you, have them come talk to me. Because honestly, there's no reason for that. Everyone is allowed to have whatever radio they have, as long as you're not trying to break into the radio system from a vendor. Like, I don't
interfere with other radios.
Yeah, as long as you're not interfering, causing trouble, there's no issues. Once some issue, if there's some sort of trouble caused, it will be dealt with. Plain and simple. I don't plan to shame anyone for owning it. I own 2 of the same probably radios that we're going to rent. I don't care. Like, just don't mess with our rental and I won't have to hunt you down and something. Wait, HR's in here. You didn't hear that.
Hear what?
I don't see why you would have a problem, Kay. It doesn't seem like the kind of issue that should come up at BLFC.
If someone does, though, let me know. I will have a conversation with them because that's unnecessary. Yeah. I may do the whole, like, Spider-Man pointing at each other, recognizing each other thing, just because that's me, but that's a different story.
Yeah, as long as you're not trying to connect it to the rented system. That's the takeaway I'm getting from that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. As long as you're not breaking my rental, I won't have to kill you.
Gently.
They're Motorola radios. They're durable.
No, I mean, you won't have to kill them gently.
Yeah, that.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Going on.
Shivano had some stuff that he wanted to talk about, I believe.
Yeah, so as probably people read in the updates, we just got through doing the staff floor applications. We did have about double the number of applications than rooms that are physically on that floor. We're going to contact people, and if you got a room on that floor, know that that is still a kind of quote non-guaranteed. We go ahead and fill that to the physical number of rooms on the floor. If a room goes down for maintenance, if there's some just screw up or whatnot, that we don't get one of those rooms to the con, or for whatever reason, you may get bumped still. So if we slate it for it, but it's a quote not guaranteed.
And those should be going out here fairly shortly. Both people who did get a on the staff floor and those who did not will both receive emails, so that way everyone knows what happened. I know previous years there were questions. People didn't know if they got it or not. This year, we want to, just like we did with the hotel rooms, we want to let the people know who both did and did not get it.
Question from the chat: should we have been contacted by our department as a volunteer?
It varies depending on the lead. Most will typically, about 2 to 3 weeks before the convention, will reach out to their people and will begin organizing a schedule. Every department's different. Every lead is different. I would say, if you haven't received anything by 2 weeks before the convention, feel free to reach out to us and just let us know, hey, I'm not sure what to do, and we'll get you the right person.
Us being hr@goblfc.org.
Yes.
As a helpful note as well, the email for your department lead should also be on your volunteer application page, which will also state what department you're assigned to.
And basically everybody that has submitted a volunteer application at this point, besides 3 people that have very, very recently put in their applications, should have that. And that you have been assigned to a department. With that, I did have to force register some people that were staff. Please, please, please go check your badge name, your shirt size, that kind of stuff. Because a lot of them I left blank, or just try to make my best guess. So double check those.
Oh, you didn't just use the random badge name generator for people?
I'm too lazy for that. To go
Why use random badge name generator where you can just be funny?
BLFC employee number 1, BLFC employee number 2.
Also with that, if there was anybody that had an upgraded tier than what their volunteer benefits give you, all the your staff stuff has been applied. Do go in and pay your balances. Also, there's some people, especially recruits, make sure you're actually registered for the convention, and have that squared away as well, because as a recruit, you do have the ability to put a volunteer application but not register for the con, and make sure you pay for it as well.
Quite a lot of people, especially recruits who have come up to the desk in the past, and they're like, why don't you have my badge, or why don't you have my envelope? And the majority of the time it's because they did not register. So that's just something to note. Also, really huge thank you to Shifano, who handled all of the volunteer applications this year. I am very, very appreciative. That's something typically I normally do, and he has given me the time to take care of other things. So thank you, Shivano.
I didn't do it.
But in this case, you did.
Pushed all of the volunteer applications right off the table.
Yep.
Basically.
Well, this is what happens when you put cats in charge.
Careful now, I'm in charge.
That's good. Hello? In charge, though.
I retain my previous statement. This is what happens when you put cats in charge.
Look, question about the staff floor. Which floor is the staff floor this year?
Staff floor is 3rd floor. It's directly next to the panel rooms.
Okay, and what are the direct advantages to being on staff floor? Is it anything else that may be unknown?
So the main reason for it for staff is you have a escalator behind the elevators, and so you don't have to have elevators. That's one of the biggest things, and also we keep it a little bit quiet. For this year, the staff floor stuff, the application is closed, and we do kind of treat it. There's not many rooms on that floor compared to others, so we do take it first as needs for the con, and then like this year, after we got the people that need to be on that floor to get quick access up and down, we ended up doing a lottery out of the rest.
Also, you get to room next to Tycho, so that's nice too.
Well, only 2 people get to room, actually.
Okay, when will the notifications come if whether we won the floor or not?
I'll be sending those out over the next few days, probably either tonight or within the next few days. There's one more step we have to complete, and then we will be able to notify people.
But yeah, in years for like next year, if you're interested in it though, that sign up usually comes out right at the time that we open booking for volunteers that have their hotel reward.
Crash, did the chat have any questions?
I'll add something in there because there was a question earlier. I answered it in text, but I figure I'll mention it here. Somebody had asked if about if there's updates on the mask policies. Currently, there's no change. The current policy will always be on our website. Masks are required in BLFC spaces, and you should assume that they will be required. Right? If that changes, we'll let you know, but don't assume it's going to change. A lot of cons aren't changing that, and so just if that for some reason is a deal breaker, then you should plan accordingly. The hotel, for people who care about the safety environment, the hotel does not require masks in any of their space. That is not likely to change, but it could also change. We have no control over the hotel's policy, and if they make a change, they can make a change the day before the con, and we'll have to follow it. But at this time, convention space, masks are required. Hotel, common spaces, masks are not. And as always, we encourage people to wear them anyways, or if you're we definitely encourage mask wearing.
There's also a question about the vaccine requirements on YouTube. Got my vaccine in August. Do I still need to get a booster to attend BLFC?
Yes, I think. That's also on our page, goblfc.org/COVID. Yeah, if you got your vaccine in August, then it has been long enough that the CDC recommends that you get a booster. So a booster is required to attend BLFC.
I know I asked this with, I believe it was Crash Doom, but I just want to confirm this. If the CDC comes out saying, oh yeah, you need a 4th booster now, or I guess a 4-shot 2nd booster, since it's such a short notice, I take it that won't be included, however?
That's correct. We are very committed to, having our policies upfront and available and reasonable enough that there's time to get stuff if necessary. So if in 4 weeks the CDC is like, oh, we think you should get a fourth booster, we're not going to require it because there simply will not be enough time for most people to get one.
Another question from the meeting chat. In non-COVID years, masks on the casino floor were not allowed. Will that be the case again now that the hotel is not requiring them? Or will COVID, i.e. not full fursuit head masks, still be permitted on the casino floor?
I could answer that question because I've been there fairly recently, and they are definitely still allowed. People are still welcome and to some degree encouraged to wear like surgical masks or cloth masks or that kind of COVID style mask on the casino floor. I don't see a lot of people doing it these days, but there's still definitely a good handful, like I'd say 20 or so percent on the actual casino floor itself that I still see people masked up.
Yeah, the GSR website, grandsierraresort.com/GSR-clean, has their health and safety policies, and currently at the top it says that masks are optional, not required. So, implying that they are fine with you having them.
I think that since the technical reasons for masks being not allowed on the casino floor have been thoroughly worked around, I don't know if that's going to be a thing that they're really going to push in the future.
Yeah, who knows? It won't change too much for us. Fursuit heads will still not be allowed.
Another question from YouTube. What is the deadline to have your booster by?
So the CDC considers boosters effective immediately as of receiving them. So as long as you get it before you arrive to register. And I highly suggest giving it at least a couple of days, because it can, like, I had almost no reaction. I felt mildly ill, but I know some people who were really knocked on their butt, for a day or so. So don't plan to leave it for the last minute, but going with government policies, it is, as long as you have the booster before you walk up to pick up your reg, that's fine. And if you've been recently vaccinated, the dates are on our website, goblfc.org/COVID, for what we consider recent, where it's been recent enough that you don't need a booster. And those are basically just the CDC's recommendations plus a little padding room so that there is time for people to get the booster.
Another question from YouTube. Is a negative COVID test required to attend?
No, a negative COVID test is not required, except in a couple of weird cases which don't apply unless we've told you. So don't worry about that. And also, because this seems to be something that people wanted to latch on to last year, a negative test is not an acceptable substitute for being vaccinated. So you won't be required to get a test. And if you come with just a test and no vaccine, that we're not letting you in. If you have a medical reason for not being vaccinated, there's information on how to apply for ADA exemptions on our website at again, goblfc.org/COVID.
And those typically they have to be applied for in advance.
Those have to be applied for at least 1 month before the con. Yes. Anything received after that will be at our discretion, and assume that we won't. That basically allows us enough time to review them properly, to gather additional information if necessary, and to not be rushing it at the last minute.
Question from chat, mainly for Verda and social media. Can we coordinate with social media to post deadlines and updates for the COVID information as well? So I presume they mean like last dates that you can get your vaccination before the convention.
Yeah, I think it's been posted at least once on there, but we can definitely post it again as things get closer, so that people who may not have seen it have another chance to catch it.
And then I guess since we are requiring boosters for people whose vaccine is a particular age or older, or whose main vaccine is a particular age or older, but the booster is considered valid right away, if they show up and they discover they need a booster, they could just go get one and they'd be good. Is that correct?
If they could find a place that is administering them locally, yeah.
Okay. But that would,
and also, with the caveat that if you do that, you might have a really crappy first 2 days of con.
Oh yeah, fair.
Like I would rather not really put that out as a plan for people.
Yeah. I mean, that's for like the person who shows up and didn't get the memo, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not the way you'd really ideally want to go about doing it.
How clear is it up front to attendees that needs to be a thing?
I mean, not everybody will know, because no matter what we do, some people are able to move through processes without reading. But it's a large bulletin on the registration page. We've announced it on social media and Telegram and stuff, I think.
Would it also be worth us sending out a mass email to everyone who is registered, just confirming?
We've tried very hard to not mass email all the attendees. It's kind of a thing that we don't want to do.
Yeah,
and I don't think we did last year, and I don't think we had. Actually, did we last year? Because a lot of people had already registered. Because a lot of people had registered prior to COVID even happening.
Right. I did send one mass email one time. I try to never do that more than once a year. For like the widespread, literally everyone who's registered, I try to restrict that to just a single time per year. And no
this
more.
this year, all of the COVID stuff was posted before we opened Reg. So, like last year, people could have registered and then just tuned out social media and never actually found out. This year, if they somehow register without seeing it, that's because they're deliberately trying to not see it, or just glossed over the large, different colored, important notice at the top of the registration page.
Yeah.
And at least Tease is here for registration, and you probably saw a handful of it if it existed. Were there any significant number of people who showed up and just found out they can't attend and just never got any of the memos? Or was it almost a non-issue? You may have to press your push to talk key.
I actually was in a different window on my here. I was not actually at the table dealing with the registration forms. That was a separate table from where I was posted. So unfortunately, those would have been filtered before they would have gotten to me.
That's right. Because we had a different filter point before that.
I know at least at the volunteer desk, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't an issue at the vendor table either.
We didn't get any exact numbers from Morse, but I do remember him saying that it was very few. If people I feel like he was able to mention like the specific times it happened.
Oh, okay. So very rare.
I think it didn't seem like there was that many.
Yeah. Okay.
Well,
yeah, you're right.
I mean,
I guess they all got filtered before they ever made it to you because we had the vaccine check.
Right, but I didn't really hear much about it either. So I didn't hear much discussion. Even after my shifts.
Okay, well, that's good news.
I know most of our community has gotten boosters. This is the first event that I know of that is requiring a booster, so it may come as a surprise to some people who are just breezing through and assuming, okay, I'm vaccinated, I'm good.
Yeah, that's true.
I know I was working Reg last year, or whenever it was, Halloween. I can confirm that there was like a small handful of people that were not aware or were just blatantly ignoring the vaccine, but it was not a lot of people.
Okay.
Another question from YouTube. Are we allowing religious exemptions?
No, we're not.
I do want to reiterate something Verta said as well about on our registration page. Like he said, there is a big yellow box at the top of that page for any registration information, saying important notice about COVID-19. You know, here are the policies. You have to meet these in order to attend. Also, those same policies are in the top level navigation on our website. They're not buried in a sub menu or anything. It's on it's visible on every single page on the website, which is very intentional to make it clear that, you know, this is not something that we as a convention are ignoring, and that this is a thing that we're still gonna require you to have in order to attend. So we've tried to make it, as far as the website goes, as, you know, as easy to find as possible as we could possibly make it. So,
yeah.
One
Did you
thing
try
to
the
note,
blink? Did you try the blink tag?
that's been heavily deprecated now.
And still works on most modern browsers.
I don't think it does. I think they've removed it.
Still works in Safari at least.
Yeah, but you said modern browsers, and that's Safari isn't a modern browser.
Sorry. Joking aside, you were saying, Berta?
I was saying that there is actually another con ahead of us now that is going to require boosters,
okay.
which is Foursquared. We announced our policy before they did, but they are also requiring boosters, at least according to their website, and their commissions in April.
Will there be a link where we can download and print out the flyers? Although I think they're meaning the
waivers,
COVID, the liability waivers, which I believe were provided at the registration desk.
It's right at the top of the COVID-19 policies page, in the TLDR section, right at the top, third bullet point. The COVID-19 specific liability waiver is an anchor, and you may click it.
So you can print your own copy and fill it out ahead of time, but we'll have copies there for people to fill out.
Yeah, we don't expect anybody to fill it out ahead of time. It's just providing it in case they want to see it in advance.
Could we make that link bold or something just to highlight it a bit more? At least on my screen, the color isn't very different.
It's probably because the font is so thin. Such a lightweight font.
I'll find a way to bring more attention to it. But I want to mention also that it's also available from the registration page as well. But I'll make it I'll bold that or something, yeah. Or I'll find a way to make it easier to find for people.
Yeah, and again, nobody has to get it in advance. It's all that's available at the con. But springing a waiver on people last minute is usually not a good idea. That's why it's posted in multiple places.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the YouTube? I see people typing a little bit in the Discord. No updates from media.
We are up to date on YouTube.
Blizz just mentioned that apparently you can actually start reserving. You can make your reservations at onsite for like convention restaurants right now.
Select restaurants, yes.
So, some restaurants. Sorry.
Do we know which restaurants those are?
It was everything on Restaurant Row except the buffet, and I think that was actually it.
That's
it was Steakhouse, probably not CPK.
Reem Asian Bistro, Uno Mas.
I don't think Uno Mas is one of the ones.
Yeah, Uno Mas has got online reservations page now.
Is one of them.
Oh, okay. Keel, your question about do we have exclusive pool hours on Saturday, or is that correct? That is correct. We don't have the pool exclusively on Saturday.
Correct.
I don't think we've ever been able to get that.
Nope, we have not. They do their own like pool party with their own DJs and a pool on like a $30 or $40 cover charge or whatever usually on Fridays and Saturdays. This for the convention, they're foregoing doing that on Friday for us to have exclusive use of the pool. But they're not willing to give up Saturday as well.
Do we still have the bowling, and what days and hours would those be?
Yes, we still have bowling, and it should be midnight to 6 all days.
Is that starting from the Thursday, or is that including Wednesday?
It even includes Wednesday night. At least it did last year. I don't remember if they. I think that's still the case. I'd have to look at the contract to be sure.
I think last year Wednesday we had an issue.
Yeah, Wednesday it was in
They
the contract
closed.
that we were supposed to have it, and they were like, "Oh, oops, well, sorry, we closed. We didn't plan to have people here this evening. Sorry." Shrugged shoulders. We did get that squared away though. They did make it up to us.
Is Fat Tuesday going to be ready for us?
No, I think just because that's not possible. But
They have been put on notice several times. It is at their discretion whether or not they take notice of it.
we've done what we can do, and their dispensers will die an honorable death.
Again.
Fat Tuesday. What was that?
Alcoholic slushies.
Oh yeah,
The
they
place
said
that always had the line that wasn't the dealer's den.
they said they underestimated us, and they're like, "Okay, we're renting a room just to store extra alcohol in there."
Given that our convention was probably the peak of their entire sales for the year, I'd hope that they are, going to prepare for that, because that'd be a lot of money they miss out on if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Are they
Well,
planning
we'll
to
see.
staff more than one person again?
Here is hoping.
Yeah, that just
Usually the
depends
way-
on staff situations, really.
So usually the way it goes for sub businesses like that, or leased businesses, is that we try to warn them. The first year they're there and they're open, we try to warn them. They don't listen, and then the second year they're actually prepared.
This isn't just BLFC. This is every FurryCon. This is always the experience with businesses in the area.
This is all conventions. Downtown San Jose, there were some unfortunate restaurants that opened up between Fanimays, and they were crushed.
Quick question from YouTube. Will there be close contact tracing if an outbreak occurs?
There will not be. We are not set up to do contact tracing if a large outbreak occurs. We might notify everybody, right? But we can't do anything more granular than that. If that makes sense. Whereas, like, if a significant number of people are infected and it seems like it's a big deal, we may consider that a reason to mass email everybody who attended. But we have no ability to do tracing at a tighter, smaller level than that.
That would be up to
people
everyone.
don't like Apple and Google contract tracing us.
Yeah, I will note that CA Notify app is actually still working, and that does kind of monitoring and tracing, but yeah, that's California, so I don't know if it'll work over there.
You have to install the Nevada app, I think, if they have one.
I am curious if something like that.
That was Ghost Cross, because I just heard. Hi, Ghost.
Hi. Yes.
Follow-up question on that. If someone does test positive, what are the procedures they need to follow?
You mean during con or after con?
Yeah, during con.
Yeah. So, like last year, we will still have the same policy of if you are, you don't even have to test positive. If you are like seriously ill, or if you're ill and you're willing to either go home or stay in your room, we will refund the rest of your membership, your registration. We can't do anything about the hotel room or travel or whatever, but we do encourage that, and we will do what we can to refund back the part that we're able to.
That's essentially a thank you for thinking of everyone else's safety.
Yeah,
kind of thing. And that we can at least offer that as thanks for being considerate and either staying in your room or going home.
Now, out of curiosity, did anybody take that last year?
Not that I know of, but
I don't recall hearing of it happening either. But I also didn't hear of a lot of people like actually feeling sick at con. Like,
the only ones I heard,
reports of people saying they got COVID a few days later.
And if I remember, if it's the one that we're thinking of, if we're thinking of the same one, they were very explicit of, we're almost certain we got it in the casino.
Right. Yeah. And that is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But I didn't hear of a lot of people talking about just generally feeling sick or having con crud, and I imagine that a lot of that has to do with just people actually wearing masks. And hey, what do you know? It actually stops disease from spreading.
Yeah, T will try and have it. We'll try and have the information out there. I don't know exactly where it'll be, but we'll try and make sure it's known.
I just know that FE and TFF got hit pretty hard this past weekend.
Except with that, a lot of people test when they get home. They're not really necessarily testing during the event.
I've been to a few cons, and I've noticed you don't see the reports of widespread con crud, COVID or not. But usually at a con, you'll see reports of con crud going around by Sunday, and I just haven't seen that.
Yeah, I think that's what Tycho was also talking about, how it's sort of the knock-on effect, if you will, of the added precautions is that people are getting less sick with all manner of things.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah, I haven't really been paying attention to social media or anything. I would be interested to hear what sort of reports there are from TFF and FE in regards to how many like confirmed COVID cases came back and said, "Hey, I did test positive."
I didn't see a hard number, but it did seem to be a little bit above the curve from what we've been seeing from previous cons, like even our con. MFF also did pretty well in cons before
Well,
that.
to be fair, when our con happened, Omicron didn't exist at all, and when MFF happened, Omicron was just barely getting started. Whereas now it's the dominant strain and it spreads easier, so that may create for more just raw positive cases, even if it's not necessarily more hospitalization and more actual danger and harm.
Yeah, definitely like no hospitalizations or anything like that, but I definitely saw a higher percentage of people reporting from, especially FE, not as much TFF, but TFF was also a little bit above the curve from what I saw on social media.
Okay. I have lines of communication with the people in charge of those conventions, so I could ask if there was any major uptick that they thought they saw. So I'll reach out to them.
I have a question. Last year, I noticed that there was a lack of staffing at like all the restaurants. I don't know if you know this, but do you perhaps know if they've hired more people now for the various restaurants that are at the convention?
If they were smart, they would.
I hope so.
It's not something that we really have a lot of access to information on. No.
Okay.
And it's something that can change at the last moment, right before an event or at any point in time. It's an ever-changing number.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the current, are they willing to pay people enough to do the job?
I know there's
that.
I know there's nothing that we could do. I was just curious if anyone had information on it, because I think that was the only major complaint I heard.
There'll be no way of knowing, because like they said, it can change last minute. Last year, I actually talked to an employee at one of the restaurants who came back for the weekend only because it was the FurryCon. He's like, yeah, they were short. It was Johnny Rockets. They're like, they were short staffed. They called me and asked like, would I do it? And be like, I'm not coming back. And then it's like, oh, what if it's the FurryCon? It's like, okay, I'll do that one.
Furries bringing people back to work.
Apparently we tip pretty well.
I think we're also less assholes than a lot of business conventions.
From what I've heard, they said we are one of the best conventions, and actually it's the dentists that they fear. Apparently they are like horrible.
All the medical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Sorry, really quick. It was just asked to me. Where do we stand with the Fursuit Festival?
I don't know if we've made a decision on that yet.
I thought that was my thought as well, but I wanted to double check.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's, we try to be transparent when we feel we are able to, and we haven't decided.
What is a Fursuit Festival?
It's when all the fursuiters can get together and hang out and do little games and get photos taken because we're not allowed to have a fursuit parade.
It's also when
we're not allowed to
take-
have a parade.
No, we haven't been able to have a parade since last time we had a parade I think was 2015. And
Why
it's
did that
because
end?
there's what's that?
Why did the parade end?
Because there's not enough space for it. There's not enough hallway to actually hold a parade anymore. The parade is so huge that the hallways would be clogged for like an hour and a half, and the hotel would be most upset about that if it were to happen.
Also because we're limited in where people can go because of the casino.
Yeah.
The last time we had a parade, we ended up blocking a wedding, and that I think is what killed it.
Well, and it's also because like the amount of hallway that is viable for a parade is only enough to hold a line of like maybe 200 people. So if you have 1,000-person parade, like it looks cool, but like only a fifth of that parade is even in the hallway at any given time, and the other 4/5 of it is sweltering in a room waiting to even leave or waiting for everybody to come back. So the Fursuit Festival was designed as the best replacement we could think of for a parade to try to get as much of the parade activities as we can without it being an actual parade.
The Fursuit Festival is also where the Fursuit picture is taken with all the furries.
Yes. Yeah, traditionally that's where we've done the group photo. That's what kicks off the festival. And then after that, it turns into a couple hours of activities and like small photo sessions of like various groups, like fursuits of the same color or fursuits from the same maker or of the same species, that kind of thing. And
Blue furries.
we dropped that for 2021, partially because of COVID and partially because of lack of enough manpower to make it happen. And this year, it's still kind of on the fence as to whether or not we should or shouldn't do it. And it's a matter of scaring up enough. It's mostly a matter of scaring up enough manpower, in particular photographers.
And ideas were being tossed around that, if it does happen, it may not be the full thing where there's not a full group photo, that it's just like the photo booths and stuff like that. So nothing has been made of a decision, but there's ideas of doing it at some scale, but not fully as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to bring it back at some point when we can feasibly do it again. But right now, it's a little bit on hiatus, I guess.
Yeah. Kay, did you have something you were trying to say?
As a fursuiter who participated or probably will participate in the future with FC's Fursuit Parade, it is more of a fursuit death march.
Well,
At
yeah,
FC
fursuiters have been referring to it as that since I became a fursuiter in 2009.
Well, FC
You haven't lived until
lovingly
you got
referred
to
to
an
as the Death
Anthrocondic
March.
march.
At FC, it takes like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And you end up walking a quarter mile or more.
It's a fun concept, but I actually don't think it plays out well at scale. Yeah. I think it's one of those things where people have continued to do it and it's just not actually that great anymore.
Yeah, like it made sense when 10 or 15% of the fandom had fursuits. It does not make sense anymore when 40+% of the fandom has fursuits. And the attendance is doubled.
Well, yeah, it's also even if it's the same percentage, it's gone from a 500 person con to a in MFF's case an 11,000 person con, or in our case, 5,000.
Yeah, exactly. So it just doesn't scale. It eventually hits the point where the scale just simply doesn't work, and it starts to become a legitimate safety hazard. And we crossed that threshold several years ago because of the relative lack of actual hallway to hold a parade in. It's not just that the hallway isn't enough to hold the participants of the parade. It's not enough to hold the audience of the parade either. There's literally just not enough hallway there for people to like line the hallways and be ready to watch the parade go by. That would also be a nightmare and probably a safety hazard. So they're neat. I missed them. I wish we could do them, but
got a question about occupancy limits. Are there going to be any occupancy limits or seating limitations for events such as main stage?
No, there will not be. Main stage, we have enough space where if people feel, if they want to space out, there's usually room at almost all events. And there's at events where it fills up, there's overflow seating in second stage usually. So for those who would feel more comfortable with some space, there's usually space to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the answer is no until we hit fire code for the room.
Yes, I mean, obviously the fire code still applies. But yeah, we're not. I don't think we did last year either. We're not doing capacity or spacing.
Correct.
Aside from
It's not
like we've
required.
Yeah, and we've always tried to not like pack rooms full. Like in the dealer's den, like our dealer's den has been fairly open. It's deliberately not packed full, shoulder to shoulder with tables everywhere, and we think that gives it a more enjoyable experience in general. We've heard from other people who say the same thing, and so it just helps.
Would it be worth adding a note about that on the COVID-19 section of the website, since that specific question isn't addressed there?
I can consider it. We can't address every single tiny little thing, but I can make a note of it.
Perhaps that and the what to do if you, well, actually do have a what to do if you start to feel sick. So.
Can we call it what to expect when you're expecting COVID?
That's clever, but I think people won't understand that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a very niche joke, but I had to make it.
I appreciate the joke. I just can't comment on it for personal reasons.
If anyone's wondering, the Summit Pavilion's capacity, according to Fire Code, is 4,000 people.
And that's the room in which we have main stage, for those who are not familiar with the names of the convention spaces. And we have never had 4,000 people in there. No way. I think the most I've probably ever seen in there is what, about 1,500? Would you guess, Kay?
I don't know how many chairs we set, but in 2019, every chair was occupied, and there was a good 300 or 400 people standing around in the outskirts.
Okay, that's borderline 2,000, because I think we had 1,500 chairs that year. So, yeah.
Another question: will we be having the Dealer's Den ticket system again?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Crash, are we having the Dealer's Den ticket system again?
Crash,
the answer is biased.
That question, right?
Yes. Yes, we will.
Nobody actually asked that, Crash. It's just like, I want to answer this question.
No, I'm being DM'd several questions, and I'm trying to keep track of which ones we've actually answered and which ones we haven't, and then throwing people the link from the YouTube.
To be honest,
I got thrown for a loop there.
Pretty nice.
But anyway, to answer the question about the Dealer's Den ticket system, yes. Implemented via the registration system as it was last year.
There'll be information going up on that probably around the time that we put up the information about which vendors have been approved. The vendors already know, but we haven't publicized who said vendors are yet. So around the same time, those will be going up.
Crash, I have been kind of getting questioned about, who's approved and whatnot by some people. So I don't know what your timing was on that.
My understanding is every vendor should have received an email at this point saying whether or not they were or were not approved. If you applied after the message on the registration system said that we are waitlisting applications, then you will not have received one of those emails.
Not really from vendor, but from public.
Okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah, it would probably be in our best interest to at least post the list of the currently selected vendors on the website somewhere, even if it's not a map. I feel like potentially trying to have a finished map is holding up being able to just post a list. Like those two things do not, like, we don't have to wait on a completed map to be able to at least post a list. And I think we should try to just post a list in the meantime.
I can work
I
on
don't
that.
really see any harm in doing that.
Yeah, I know where to obtain the list, so I can start working on that, or at least start putting the page together for that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's an API for that.
Yeah.
And I think that API pulls live so that if a selected vendor changes their information, like changes the description of their business or something, it will actually update it automatically. It'll roll into that API. So if they find a typo or they've changed they've added something to their business and they want to market it or whatever. There was a question in the chat. Any update on badge art? I forgot to mention that. I'm sorry. Badge art is all in progress, and it's all going to have to be done in a couple of weeks to be able to go to print. So within no more than a couple of weeks, we should be able to have it up on the website for people to pick from, because we're going to have to. It's all going to have to go up for print.
I know there are definitely quite a few this year that I'm really excited to show off.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen any of them actually finished yet, but I've seen sketches of several of them.
Yeah. One of which is
one stupid one that.
Oh yeah, that's the one I like the most though.
And the one stupid one that I thought about putting in, which you'll all see soon.
Just have a blank card that says badge art.
It's close to that.
Very close to that.
My badge was a broken JPEG. I had to do it.
Exactly. There's just a lot of things that are just glitching this year. We don't know why. It's almost like there's a missing theme or something.
I know that I'm joining in late, but I actually I live with a few furries that have wanting to go to BLC this year, but they got the same vaccination that I got, which was the J&J, which no one's currently offering boosters for in the state of Arizona. So they wanted to know how we get around that, because my only option right now is to go to Seattle to see my fiance to get a booster for the J&J, because Arizona's not offering it.
So you do not need to get the J&J booster if you got the J&J vaccine.
So actually, I don't have to go get a booster, or neither of us do.
No, you can get a booster.
No, you can get you can get a Pfizer or a Moderna booster, and that's actually what the CDC recommends is that you do.
Well, the reason I was asking that is because when I got to go onto the site like CVS, Walgreens, like the places that give the vaccines here, you put in like, what vaccine did you get at the beginning? It's like, okay, I got the J&J. It's like, you don't need a booster. Piss off. And I can't get past that system. I don't know how, because it's asking for the registration number that we have here in Arizona based on our vaccines, and it won't take me away from it.
Talk to a pharmacist.
They told me that I can't get one because I don't qualify.
Find another pharmacist.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right at all.
Yeah, it's part of it. That's why I was asking. I figured at least I'd ask.
Yeah, the CDC has had it authorized for several months now for all people. So
yeah, I was gonna say, that doesn't track with what the CDC is saying. So
yeah, well, it could just be the ones that I've went to that have just around
Could
my
be.
area. But when I go up to see my fiance in May, I'm just gonna get one up there because they're giving them out like candy. So I'm just gonna go up there and get it. I just
make an
wanted to know
appointment.
what we were doing.
Just FYI, I'm in that area, and it might have calmed down by then.
I've already got the appointment for the weekend that I'm going to be there. So it actually will allow me, if I go through the Seattle website for like Walgreens and CVS, it'll let me do an appointment that way. But if I do it for the Arizona ones, it doesn't even allow it. So I don't know if it's just something that our state hasn't updated, or if it's something on my end. I don't know. I kind of gave up and just said, screw it, I'm flying to Seattle to get it.
Yikes. I'm sorry you have to go through that.
Hey, I want to see my fiance anyways. It's kind of a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
It's been the first time. It'll be the first time we've seen each other in almost a year, so it'll be really nice.
Oof.
And then the only other thing I kind of jumped in here to ask is I did my volunteer thing just like I did last year. Because
Welcome back.
Oh, thanks. Last year I was doing crowd control. And then this year they stuck me on gophers.
So one thing with crowd control this year, crowd control is a little bit changing how they do stuff. Crowd control is only going to have basically a small core staff, and then they are going to pull from gophers. So there have been a good number of people that were crowd control that got reassigned to gophers. So they're going to get crowd control is going to give us the schedule, and we're still going to kind of have crowd control gophers. But because crowd control tasks tend to be a little bit shorter, we're kind of shifting up how that entirely works.
Yeah, because I remember last year. A lot of us crowd control people ended up getting thrown onto gophers anyways because there was like nothing to do after like halfway to day 2. It's like there's nothing left.
Yep. Yeah, that makes what Shivano said makes sense. Like most crowd control staff or tasks only last for like an hour or less.
Yeah, basically
it makes more sense to have gophers do that.
Basically, what registration lines and when I know when
typically
when I think
line management,
Copper Coyote or whatever his name was did his thing that we needed it, but that was about it.
Yeah. Typically crowd control tasks are like an hour here, 2 hours there. And when you have volunteers who are requesting 8 or 12 hours, we want to make sure that you're able to get those benefits. So that's why we're kind of changing that this year.
Are we still doing the digital dealer stand like we did last year? That was broken half the time.
Crash.
Yes, we are still doing that. It did work better than not having it, I will say, and it should also work better this year. As with all new systems, the first time is always teething issues.
We will also have the banner sign up again and have some people to the side who will be able to help people get tickets.
So, I guess, and I actually, my roommate brought this up. He was at BLFC like 5 years ago. I wasn't. When did we start? Did we ever? I know we did paper tickets, not last year, but the year before. But when did we start doing tickets for dealer day? Because he's like, I was really 5 years ago. I remember him doing it. I was like,
It was in 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
2019 was paper, and then we went digital for 21.
Because the paper was
COVID.
Paper system confused people.
Oh, it just wasn't a good system.
I will also just kind of throw out there in general. So if we take any kind of thing of the TFF number being 200 more than pre-COVID, if that happens here at BLFC, we definitely need more volunteers, and that application is still open. So we'll see what happens. But yes, more volunteers.
Yeah, I don't even think last year we had enough volunteers to go around. We were stretching pretty thin, if I remember correctly.
I think we actually did all right last year once it all came down to it. But
yeah, we did pretty well. There were a lot of times gophers we were paging out on the radio. We give us tasks.
Yeah.
It was a good con. I really enjoyed it. I like seeing all you guys.
I'm glad to have you back.
All the fluffiness is here. Thank God I'm the only difference this year. And I know it's going to suck because I got a 12-hour drive with a Husky this year instead of a 2-hour drive from California because I'm back in Arizona. So it's going to be a lot of fun this year.
Oh boy. Do we have any additional questions from YouTube, perhaps? Or the people live?
Nothing on YouTube.
Nope.
Okay. I do want to move on and get this move on to the next topic here, which is going over this schedule that's on the next page of the quote unquote agenda.
Volunteer
start trying to
desk,
look
we're
over
good.
that and see if anything there doesn't make sense or if it seems wrong to you. The more eyes I can get on this schedule, the more likely I'll catch. The more likely that I will potentially catch errors.
I know there was I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, there was an issue with the dealer's den schedule specifically on the website versus other methods. So
really?
I think so.
Yes, the schedule on one page of the website said 8 a.m. and the other one said, I believe, 9 a.m. So I had vendors lining up at the door when I got there at 8 a.m. with my coffee.
I see. Okay, well,
but at least you had coffee.
It is 10 a.m. this year for setup.
Okay, and does it reflect that correctly on the website? And also, is only 2 hours to set up on Friday actually enough time for people who happen to show up on Friday and didn't make it on Thursday at all?
That's something we're still trying to figure out with the Den team. Pushing it to 9 is probably going to be acceptable.
I
But we
think
just
that
have to make
would
sure we have
probably be
staff
why,
coverage there.
at least for Friday.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be necessary for the other days, right?
So
The
long as
1
it is
hour
not
before
8 a.m.
opening should be plenty. But yeah. All right. Well, let's try to get that settled soon so that I can get this whole schedule fairly permanent. Okay, so that was one mismatch from last year. Were there any others that people recall between like website versus volunteer guide versus whatever people thought they had internally?
I mean, we definitely had problems with not having a single schedule, a single master schedule last year.
Yeah, that
really. That's what I'm trying to fix this year.
Yeah, I don't have any. The department I have to worry about the schedule for is always open when things are happening, so I don't have any. Mine is just open. Yes. I don't know if anything on there is wrong or not.
Which I will point out here on the schedule, we are tentatively bringing back Dance Till Dawn this year. It sounds like we do have the manpower for it. And that will probably move out of main stage at 3 a.m. and downsize to second stage to run through until 7 a.m. And so second stage would then remain open until 7 a.m. And theoretically, Flare can be in charge of it from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. We have done that in the past, and it seems to have worked fine. ConOps does not need to be open during that time for that last like few hours of the day where the only thing that's going on is Dance Till Dawn. Okay.
Yeah. We're definitely not being open during that time. If you need us, too bad.
Oh, thanks.
Is there logistical stuff to kind of prep and take down for AV for having to switch stages than to just stay on the same stage?
I'm sure there is, but they know how to handle that. So, and like it was specifically with leadership AV people. I was talking about this just yesterday, being like, "Hey, should we bring back Dance Till Dawn? Does it sound viable?" And the conclusion we reached is that yeah, it's viable, and the dance is there's too few people for dance. Like there's still people, but there's too few of them to really justify keeping main stage open, and the number of people it takes to keep main stage crewed, keeping all of them up until 7 a.m. And so the plan is to reduce down to second stage, which needs less manpower to stay functional.
Also,
and also
easier to
happens to be
secure the
right
room.
next to a headless lounge.
Yeah, and it's just easier to secure the room.
Yep.
I think if the
There-
pool is not going at the same time, there's not going to be an equipment issue because we have typically 2 sets of DJ decks. So
and
we'd
Dance
be
Till
able to
Dawn
set
happens
up.
to be the same day. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could start setting up right away.
Yeah.
Because it happens to be the same day that there's no pool dance.
Well, we should have enough as long as Ray doesn't manage to get more decks stolen.
Oh,
hopefully that didn't happen at BLFC.
He's had 6 CDJs stolen so far in the last 3 years.
What?
Yeah, previous con for
none at any cons. There were
Right.
like other events.
Good lord. People suck.
Yeah, they do.
Any other points or questions for the meeting? I think it is, since we're having it late, let's try and wrap it up unless there's something else that needs to be covered.
Nothing from YouTube.
Levi, Shabano, can you guys tell me what you think about the hours for volunteer desk Wednesday versus registration Wednesday versus Nevada room Wednesday?
So for the Nevada for Wednesday, that's typically our load up. Like everyone else, it's our load in setup day. The hours are fairly fluid. It just depends on when I and the rest of the desk team can get everything set up and going and make sure we're ready to go. We typically will try to open up either at the time Reg opens or earlier, preferably earlier. But kind of that is our deadline is when Reg opens for opening.
Okay. Well, how about we do this for now? Registration has noon to 6 to set up on Wednesday. I'm going to say that volunteer desk has noon to 3. So you guys are both starting at the same time. Volunteer desk sets up faster than registration does.
Okay.
And that still leaves a 3-hour window for at least registration volunteers to be able to get their badges and go over registration.
Okay. Yeah, Wednesday is generally like
reasonable?
a soft opening, so we'll do our best to make that. I'm not 100% sure. It also depends on how fast Levi can stuff food vouchers into packets.
I
Well,
I think
hopefully
we
I'll
have
get those
enough help
ahead of time this
early.
time.
I think we'll have enough help earlier from our volunteer managers. I unless we physically don't have a table there, I don't really foresee too much issue getting going on Wednesday.
Question from the chat. What times do we have Flare? Because room parties need to close before Flare closes for the night.
Flare is from 10:30 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Well, it depends on the day.
Though party floor should be 3 a.m. closing according to the schedule. So
Yeah, I don't think any parties actually run that late typically, but
party floor needs to close about half an hour before Flare does.
okay, well, we'll make it 2 a.m. 2 a.m. is the typical, so
Yeah, everything like it was 2 a.m. for a lot of things until 2019, and then it became 3.
People can meander down to main stage for the last hour.
well, and my intent for the party floor hours was that's the hours in which the party Maven office is open. If somebody is on the party floor, they can host a party in their room whenever they want. They just may not get support outside those hours. So unless Kirst, unless you disagree with that attitude, there's no reason it can't just go 7 to 3. But or for that matter, there's no reason it can go 7 to 2 and just like people are on their own after 2 a.m. Like was it very busy at all after 2 a.m. anyway? If it's not, then we should just close it at 2. Kirst is typing, so it wasn't much busy after 2 a.m. Okay, then we'll just make it 2. That's the time most people are used to anyway, because that's last call in a lot of states. Except
Nevada has no last call.
Because we don't have one. That was actually part of
Last
why
call for us is when Fat Tuesday closes.
So Wednesday night.
Yeah, last call is when the bar runs out of liquor.
The GSR would have a major problem if that happened.
You drank it.
Challenge accepted.
I would argue the GSR would be extremely thrilled if that happened. If we managed to buy enough booze that they ran out, they would be happy as hell.
I don't know
They'd
about
also be
you, but I go down to the
calls.
I go down to the tables in order to get the free drink.
Yeah, but they don't give it to you unless you're playing. So trust me, they're happy.
If we ever have the con like at a date that happens to pass over April Fool's Day, that would be a great social media post for April Fool's Day.
You drank all the alcohol.
Like, apologies. The venue has run entirely out of alcohol.
The GSR is going completely dry for a day.
I've actually been to cons that's actually happened. Puzzled once had that happen to them.
Sierra, you said Fat Tuesday came close on Sunday. My understanding is they actually did run out completely by the end of Sunday. that they were down to just a couple flavors left on Sunday morning, and those ran out as well by the end of the weekend, or by the end of Sunday, and they were completely done and closed for several days until they were able to restock.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard. I don't know how accurate that is, but
I felt sorry for the 2 employees and then the 1 employee who stuck around late into the night, who had to serve a non-ending queue of people.
I bet you they made awful good tips, though.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
going to
yeah.
say, I hope there was a tip jar for them.
Yeah,
Monday,
I imagine they went home pretty happy.
Monday they were closed because we went to Johnny Rockets at about 2, and it was dark, and all the machines were off.
Well, it's because all the machines had run out.
It's getting late. Is there any other major points?
No, talking about the schedule points here and just a little bit of BSing and bantering is all that's left. So
okay, then I have to scoot.
Please go turn into a pumpkin. Enjoy sleeping.
Thank you. See you
I
guys
too
at
will
the
be-
convention.
I too will become a pumpkin shortly.
Really quick, last second reminder. If you got an email saying that you were registered and you didn't register, we might have come up with a funny name for you. Please double check your name and your shirt size and all that again.
Otherwise, you may end up with a 5XL shirt.
Sounds like a tent. You can live under that.
Okay, I'm pulling up Nican's account.
I have a question or two.
What's up?
What was my first one? Oh yeah, I'm wondering about what exactly is the process to become a staff member? Because I was recruit last year and I didn't hear anything different, so I thought I'd be a recruit this year, but I'd like to be staff eventually.
Okay. What department by chance were you in?
I was in registration last year and this year.
Okay. I would say try to reach out to the lead, or you can email registration@goblfc.org. I believe that's going to be Morse. If you already try and reach out to him. If not, reach out to me, hr@goblfc.org. We can look into it and see if that is a possibility.
In general, for staff, staff is not and you've done a number of hours, you've done a number of years. It is based on a recommendation from your lead. And we have some people that have volunteered 1 year and became staff the next year. We have some people that have been volunteering with us for multiple years and they're still recruit. So it's very much on a recommendation from your lead.
Let me also step in and say that just because you haven't been doesn't also mean that we're like deliberately excluding you or not recommending you. There are some inconsistencies in how we do it. It's something that we're working on improving in the future. It's just not a priority that we can work on at the moment with the short time. But on top of the it's a recommendation thing. It's like it is, but it's also it kind of varies depending on the department what people think they need to do, and it's something that we're going to try and be better at making clear in the future.
Okay.
But at the moment, the best way is just to contact your lead and be like, hey, I was always reliable. I was always this. Do you think I'd be suitable for staff?
Okay. Thank you. And also, let's see, what if I wanted to switch departments? Because I also signed up for, it was either hotel liaison or guest liaison, and those sounded interesting to me too.
That would be typically reaching out to the HR department themselves, right?
For switching departments, yes, that's kind of put that in your volunteer application. One thing with hotel liaison, that department is kind of very restricted because it's kind of one of our very higher level kind of exec staff that usually do that. We were actually considering kind of hiding that department from the public view this year. we can talk with our person if that's our current hotel person. If that is something that very much interests you, I'm not even sure if they're looking to add additional people.
Let me just step in here and say that that's a conversation to have offline, not here.
Okay.
Yeah, contact HR. You can email them or reach out to them. However whatever information they've given you. HR@goblfc.org is always a good, if you don't have any other way of getting hold of them, and they can talk about whatever you need for that. But that's not something that we should be discussing in here.
Yeah, I would say to answer that question more generally for anybody, if you're interested in a different department this year than what you were assigned, emailing HR@goblfc.org would be the best way to start that conversation.
There's also a contact form on our website where you can submit things like that to HR. Just like the HR department on our contact form, and stuff submitted there will go to the same place.
I know last year we had a volunteer desk open after people were supposed to be where they needed to be for the day. Is that going to still be a thing for signing in?
Say again. Was that volunteer desk open after you needed to clock in?
Correct.
So we've increased the hours on our volunteer desk. So we're basically opening the volunteer desk now as soon as we're allowed into the room every day.
Sounds good.
So, I mean, it shouldn't happen, but if for some reason it does, we do always have the ability for you. We're going to have little slips of paper that if we do need to do a modification of your time of a clock in, you just have to take that, have your lead sign off on it, bring it back to us, and we'll get you taken care of. So
there will be a process.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be detailed right now. Is there anything else for the overall meeting? Or any other questions? General questions that affect the whole thing, or if you have a question about you're not sure where to go. But otherwise, it's best to handle some of that stuff in email or in other communication when it's not everybody here. Anybody going once? All right.
Yep, sounds good. I'm calling it.
Yep. So as always, people are welcome to pop over to currently it's named Main Voice. I feel like it's changed every time I look. Under Biggest Little Lounge, you can hang out if you like. That's some people might pop over there. It is late, might not be as many as usual, or it might be more than usual. Who knows? But thank you all for attending.
Oh, for a second there, the name of the voice channel was literally "It's Changed Again," but now it's back to Main Voice.
Damn it, Crash.
So,
maybe Voice Main.
anyway, thank you all for coming.
Oh yeah, and as always, if you have a question and you don't have any and you don't know where to go, contact form on the website is a great spot because it has the departments. And if you really don't know, there's a general button and a operations button, and those will almost always at least get you to somebody who will get you to the right somebody.
And sorry for throwing in one last thing here before we go. I forgot there was a question about bowling, and I had the contract up behind other windows on my computer, and I just saw it. We do have the bowling alley for Thursday, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., and that's really what feels like Wednesday night. So yes, we do still have it for that day, as well as everything else all the way up through to Monday. Whether or not they're actually open and staffed, we'll find out this year.
We will be checking.
We will be checking.
Side thing, what's the name of the room we have main stage in? The Grand Ballroom?
Summit Pavilion.
Summit Pavilion, that's the one.
So, anyway, sorry for the super late answer to that question, but I believe that concludes the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Tycho, Verda, and Crash, can I steal you all for a second?
Yep, sure. Let's hop down.
Everybody
Well, have a good evening.
Have a good one.